Welcome to the March 4th Being Yourself Healthy workshop. My name is Josette Curry. I am an exercise performance coach and healthy lifestyle living coach. I've been doing this for over 20 years and with the exercise field over 25 years. I come from a background of professional performance dance and it's all relating to movement, obviously, and so that's what I do. I help people move better, perform exercise better so the conditioning can be better, and then the sport. I'm also kind of in the gap of helping people get back from injuries, preventing injuries. Doesn't mean you won't get injured, you just won't get badly injured if you get into the deep core training that I am doing now and launching soon. So to start off this campaign, they call it online, I guess, we're doing a mini class today. We're going to learn the 6 steps that I use to stay fit, healthy every day. I do my best to try and keep things level ground so I'm not overworking too much anymore like I used to and burning out. I've learned my lessons, come back here and now share what I do to keep myself going healthy every day. I'm 54, almost 55, I think, something like that. Around that, I was really into getting healthy by 50. That was, as a professional, I was like, if I don't have this down as a professional at 50, then it needs to change for me into some kind of artistry in another way. Like I like to paint, I like to write, all that kind of stuff. But it's working. It's saved my life. It would have saved my mother's life. At 68, she passed away, March 4th. This is dedicated to her. Every year I do this workshop for her. Had she and us been better at these 6 steps, we would have been living right now fully alive together, and she probably would be in her 80s. I don't know how to do the math on that, but 2014, so that's 10 years now, just over. She's gone, passed on, moved into another place, and hopefully viewing this, because she always encouraged me to follow this and to teach you what I was learning at the time. So she did see me start to practice all of this, and it can be hard for a 30-year-old to do this in front of parents that perhaps eat differently and move differently, and we've learned their habits, so then we now need to unlearn that. So it's really challenging for our families to go through all of this. And so to have an outlet to learn from outside of what you're used to that maybe is not serving you anymore, like Cheerios, maybe you're still caught up on that, but you're 45. I don't know what it is for you, but we need to get it straightened out with the health concepts. Back to basics, let's go, like common sense practices that we should have learned from the generation that's... Okay, so the 6 steps to being. There's the word being. There's being, and then there's like being, like act as though, like you're actually being that. So I'm being someone who drinks good water. That's an action that I take. I'm not gonna, it's hard to be the person in the professional shoes in a sense, because we have to be doing what we're coaching our clients to do. That's not easy. The formula to being healthy is easy. I mean, it's easily written, easily talked about, but to actually live it out, that's a whole nother ball game. We'll put it at that, okay? So I'm gonna make it as easy as possible. Doesn't mean it's gonna be easy for you to catch on, but I'm gonna make it as easy as possible, because in 2 weeks, less than, you are able to dive in with a challenge of doing 1 step per week. And I talked about that again yesterday. So let's dive in with the water. We've got how much, like that's really important, this question. How much should you, and I'm going to tell you what that should be. You put down your weight. So I'm just going to give you a roundup number for me. I'm going to say 120, okay? Divide that by 2, so in half of that, right, it's 60. So if I was 120 pounds, that is, I'm not sure in your country what it is for you, but half of that, divide that in half, and I get 60. And then you do this, you put the little quote there for ounces. I have to do 60 ounces of water if I'm 120 pounds. Now, breaking down the 60 ounces, you got to be very careful with this. I had one person think I was saying she was supposed to drink 300 ounces of water. She obviously did not get the math right, which is why it's important to do the math twice. Math is important. Maybe not all of it, but some of it, most of it. Like if you think about it, We got to add things. We got to time things. We've got to divide things. So stick with what we really need to focus on in life and we'll get somewhere. So 60 ounces, 8 ounces, which is 1 cup. Okay, so we're going to do this. 8 ounces equals 1 cup equals 250 mil. Right? Now, double that up, right? You're going to double that up times 2. You're going to have 16 ounces. That's 2 cups. And then that's 100 mils, right? Right? There's bottles that are 500 mils. You'll find some with 750 mils and even 1 liter. You get those big liter ones, okay? So now we got to keep breaking this down because you know what? 500 mils is equal to half liter. 500 mils, 2 of those times 2 is equal to a half, no, sorry. Oops, edit. 1 liter. Are you writing this all down? Because I'm making a mess over here. 1 liter. So how many ounces is 1 liter? Anybody guess? Times 2. So 1 liter is double that, 32 ounces. Whoa, 32 ounces. Huh, that's only half of what I'm supposed to drink. Man, this can be very, very overwhelming, and that's exactly why I prescribe the water. I'm going to talk more about that. That kind of coaching comes with the 6-week challenge. Your job today is to figure out how much you should be drinking, not to drink it all today in one go, but to slowly ramp up as you're learning a habit. So figure out where you're at, how many you're doing, and add maybe 1 or 2 glasses on top of that every day for 7 days. Now, here's the coaching. I'll give it to you now. If you do not meet that new level of water, you're learning the habit, remember, not just taking in the water to use to detox. If you do not make that level happen on one of those 7 days, you go back to day 1 and start again. That same new level of water. Once you hit 7 days and you got it down, you go up another glass or 2. Now, this is really important. Change one thing, join me on the challenge if you want to try it. Change one thing and everything will start changing. You're going to start growing like a sprout. Seriously, everything is just going to start looking brighter. Things are going to start working better. You have more energy levels. Procrastination as a form of rest and recovery is not going to be around as much. Okay, so best thing time is to do it on an empty stomach. And you got to add some sea salt to that baby. That's it. A pinch of sea salt in 8 ounces of water. I've been doing that for years. The best time is between meals. You've got to get where you're putting your meals if you want to get to this amount of water. That's just my experience. Don't believe me, but you got to try and figure it out for yourself. If you can get your meals planned well, then you probably want to keep them. You need to be eating before the 4th hour empty tummy. You want to make sure you put something in before the end of that 4th hour. Okay? Now, if you look at that, if you're eating on that 1st hour, you digest for 2, and then you have another hour there where you can just load up, and then I'll let it just settle down for an hour, and then I'm preparing my meal. Now, hydration is so important when it comes to a lot of the vegetables, all this raw food, all the raw foods that you are doing is great. Now, I don't know if you've done a lot of research on oxalic acid is what I used to hear back in the day, but I think they're calling it oxalates now. It's what's going on in the plant, in the nuts and the seeds. Gosh, I could just go on here, but this is the stuff I want to talk about on the challenge. But it's very important to take these chemicals that keep the plant, the seed, the nut, the legume dormant. Otherwise, the thing will just grow. It's dormant, it's being held dormant, and the plant is alive and living, and it is protecting itself. So that chemical, oxalic acid or oxalates, very hard to digest food with that going down in the body. there's all kinds of disruptions that can happen in inflammation. And in order to deal and handle that, the body's got to pull minerals and help the body deal with those things. So now, can we make an effort to maybe soak things more, steam things instead of eating it raw? It's really, I believe, the color. If you've got the color, the kale, keeping it, steaming it, blasting it, get this oxalic acid out, and then you've got like a nice green in there, you're good to go. Throw it in your smoothie. It doesn't have to be raw. Okay, so some foods get more nutritious with gentle sauteing and cooking. Best time is right before, an hour before you're gonna eat. It gives the body hydration to digest, and also we've got to look at calcium levels just to get those oxalic acids out, to help buffer that shit. Because where do you think the minerals are coming from? I don't know if I'll share that right now. It's too much information, but it's important to get your minerals in. That's all, I'll leave it at that. So good to know. The emotion, there's movement there, and water helps us move emotion. So if we're dehydrated, we're probably going to get more and more intense with emotion being held and not being able to be moved through. So our water, which started with the mother, okay, that's where we started. You started in your mom's belly, like in her womb. All her water in there. The food she ate, the things and people she was around, all that energy and her memory, everything's there. It's still in the water. That didn't disappear. The water's changed. I've added a hell of a lot more water. I'm more hydrated. So in the hydration process, you can get and tap into some of these habits and beliefs maybe that are not serving you, or maybe they were my mom's about me that weren't even true. But I can't access that. I couldn't access that without obviously mentorship and coaching, but I couldn't access it just because I was so dehydrated and addicted to sugar. And just even that addiction, because there's many addictions that we can have, but the sugar addiction would just jack me up. So I'd be like, I couldn't really deal with any of it. So remember, the hydration thing plays a huge role on your mood, on your movement patterns during the day, and how you're aging.